Alright, so next day. Right now I'm doing a short little thing. I'm gluing some of the sandpaper to these bats so I can sand down the bottoms of my pots real easy instead of having to worry about smoothing them while they're still wet or weather hard. So, I mean, this is pretty simple. Just take a hot glue gun. Just go all the way around. You want a good seal on it so parts of it aren't popping up. You know, this doesn't ruin your bat or anything. It's just easy to remove. You just heat it back up with a heat gun or something and just remove it. I'm doing two. One is a 120 grit, the other is a 220 grit. That way, just two stages of sanding. There we go. Turn that off. Just right. And it doesn't have to be perfectly center, as long as you get the roughly right in there. There. Yeah, good guesstimate. That's hot. Okay, let those set for a few, and we'll probably sand a few. Go. So super simple, super easy. Just put the bat on, tap in, turn it on. We're ready to do a little sanding. So this bottom part's just a little rough. I just want to take off. This is the one way to do it. This is doing it while it's still bone dry. Now, either way, you want to wear a respirator or a mask for this. And if I could get this on here, that would be fantastic. There we go. It's already so much smoother right now. But yeah, that's the general idea of it, and you just work it until you get to the smoothness level that you like. You can also go to a finer grit or something. Now the other method for cleaning up the bottoms is to do it while it's still leather hard. You just come through with a rib. Now I won't use this metal one. I like using a harder rubber one a little better. You just come through with just a little pressure. You start working it. And you turn it too, because you don't want to make the clay all go in one direction, because if it goes against the way you threw it, I don't know if that makes sense, it can cause some more cracking. So, you see, we're softening that edge a little bit, because if your foot is too sharp, you go to set it on a wooden table, it can scratch the table. We don't want that either. So, see how it's getting real smooth? Just keep doing it until you get where you want. Clean up any spare clay on the edges. And that's one down. Again, just take your time. Get any clay off that you want off. Smooth in any edges. Because once you fire this, once it gets bone dry, it's a little harder to manipulate it if you want to change anything. Or a lot harder, rather. And this is one of the reasons why you want to leave at least an average amount of clay on the bottom. Is because if you get this too thin and you start trying to clean it up, it's just going to cave through and it'll warp your bottom. Clay has memory. So if I go to change this in any way and it bends or the wall bends, I can move it back, but a lot of times in the firing process, when that clay heats up, it will go back to that previous position once it's been leather hard or whatever. You know, and you could have been going for a perfectly symmetrical bowl, and then boom, it's an oval. Or you have one side pinched in, or, you know, generally mess it up. Once this is fired the first time, before I go to put any glaze on it, that's called bisque wear. Now, when you have bisque wear and you reach that stage, let's say something cracks, you won't be able to use it as far as a functional piece. But you can still use the material. Because just like sand is in this, you could crush that up and put it into wet clay, and it becomes what's called a grog. It's the same thing as sand, really. It just helps give it support, helps stiffen your walls. A lot of sculptors use something with heavy grog because it helps them, you know, build things bigger. That kind of thing. Now, does that mean you can't do something tall with a porcelain or something? By all means, no. You just have to take a little more time with it, drying especially, and building. Now, when you're doing this, it's a good time to check all your joints. Make sure everything's good. Because sometimes things just don't work. Now, this one's a little harder than I would like for this usually, but as long as I'm careful, it just shaves off the edge rather than compress any clay or anything, and that's fine too. Just if you're doing a flat bottom mug or something, well, anything that has a flat bottom, you just want to make sure you don't cave in any section to where you have to pop it back out, because then, you know, you may be dealing with a mug that'll just wobble. Another one down. Last one. Here we go. Now this one's more closer to the perfect stage, I like. It's a good bit of dampness still, but nothing that's going to warp with handling it. Sometimes it's good to come with a damp sponge and just smooth out any edges you may want to smooth out. You just don't want to get it too wet, or you could be dealing with cracking again. Well, what are we going to do here now? Got some clay ready to go. don't know what that was in there. Getting a step ahead of myself. There we go. Let's make a bowl. So like I said before, I'm just practicing throwing again, getting my hands used to it. What I keep out of these is going to be fairly minimal, except for testing glazes, running through the glazes I already have. And once I get through those, my focus is raccoon. So I won't be making bugs, I'll be making faces or maybe some sculptural pieces or just funky things. That's pretty well centered. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast. Okay, so this time, when you go down this point, instead of pulling straight out, you want to think about the inside of that bowl. Think of that cup surface, and that's what you're going to emulate. Once you get that, what I do is I come in here and I compress the lip so it goes ahead and stretches it out ahead. And again, don't pull straight up, pull with that curve. We're doing a typical bowl right now, not a flat rimmed or what I would call a pasta bowl. If you're wondering what I mean about that, is some bowls are more cupped, so they're meant for holding in, like soup or cereal, right? But with other things such as a pasta, you want to have an open presentation because you're not worried about it spilling out. Bowls, because of their nature of being curved, you have to leave more clay in the bottom to give it that support. This is my first bowl in a while, so it's not great. In fact, I'll use this one as a good example. So, see, I already have that wall pulled up. So now it's bold. So what I'll do here, let's just come through. Let's just cut it. So if you see, I have this extra clay right here to help support this bowl. So what I would do is I'd come in here and trim this out, make some kind of foot on it. But see how the walls have a consistency going up? When you trim, that's about the same thickness that you would want all the way down. So we'll cut the rest of that off there. That's okay, it's just clay, right? It can be re-dried out a little bit and made into something new. Something that works. Since I like doing it, let's do some more of those spoon rests. Yeah. Let's do some more spoon rests. I have enough clay here, probably 3 of them, I imagine. Like I said, I know these videos are a bit long right now. I'm trying to figure out how to compress them and change them up. I haven't used a video editing program since high school. I use Premiere. So, to say the least, I'm a bit out of date on them, so I'm having to relearn the program. So, once I get editing down a little bit more, hopefully they'll be a little more coherent, maybe. A little more watchable. But, I don't know, sometimes I like finding a nice long throwing or painting video or hiking videos especially, and I'll just turn them on in the background and, I don't know, it's calming. This fall we'll be camping a good bit. My son loves it, so anytime I have the opportunity I get out and go. We'll check out some different places. I don't ever go to the same place often. I have a couple of favorites nearby that are free, that are right on the water, but definitely been hitting up some campgrounds and other stuff. State parks. Okay, center. So, remember on these spoon rests, you'll start pressing down. You know, because it's essentially a plate. Now I like to get my pinky knuckle right in that center, so I can start depressing just a little bit and working it out. Get down to the right thickness for your bottom. Super important. Too thick or too thin could have cracks. You know, too thick, you're just wasting clay as well. Now on some things like you'll see on the Raku, I will throw or build a good bit thicker. That's just because of that that quick firing process. A little extra thickness, a little extra support. A little harder to crack as long as you preheat it right. Now, pit firing is a hit or miss sometimes. Hit or miss what they look like. It is. Get this rubber tool again. Created this nice long lip. I don't want to leave it that way. And I did that on purpose because I want to do a more elaborate kind of, I don't know, more like a flower petal in a way. I really want to curl them in because this glaze will get a nice run and pull right here. And on the inside it'll pull in the center. And with some of the glazes I use, when I get them just thick enough, you can see crystals in them, little crystallized parts. And it's one of my favorite parts, is little details like that with pottery. Come in here with this. There we go. Because right now I'm keeping every bit on video, and you know, if I keep going with this, you know, I'll like skim through parts like this right here because I've shown it so many times. You know, it's how much you want to see me smacking around some clay. Coning up. Push it down. And keep that left arm steady. If you're right-handed like me. If you were left-handed, you'd be going opposite of this. This particular pottery wheel has a setting so you can switch it from left hand to right hand really easily. Some of the other ones you have to go in and actually change some things on the interior. This one's just a switch. Some wheels are belt driven. This one's on ball bearings. So when it's stopped, it can spin either way very easily. When it has a belt, it is harder to turn one way, if impossible. If not impossible, it is. Mine's in the mud. There we go. So again, we're going to flatten it out like a disc. Making sure it's centered still. Go. I'm going to pull that extra clay out while keeping that center really compressed. Again, S cracks. And I'm bound to have some at some point. And when I do, I'll gladly show you what that looks like. you know, especially with some other videos. I'm sure my son will show up on here a good bit. He's playing right now. Right here is I'm going to remove some of this clay off the bottom, just because I'm going for a particular depth of clay right here. I don't want to have to cut a foot later or anything, so scrape that clay off a little at a time. Good foot. And there you go. So, come in, compress this bottom a little more. I'm going to do a little something different here. I've got that bottom compressed real good, so now I can come in and I'm going to just do a swirl design coming out. My thoughts on that is that it's a twofold purpose. First is the glaze can get down in there and again maybe form those crystals, and secondly, think of what I use a spoon rest for. Say I get done cooking with some chili. Chili's going to drip. It has crevices to drip in instead of everything staying on the surface. Getting yucky. Not that I don't wash it every day, but still. So you're just going to come in, pinch these up. I'll lay down this lip a little more. There we have it. That's another one done. Clay I'm using is from Trinity Ceramics. I forget what it's called. I'll have to look, make sure. It is a Cone 6, which is mid-fire. Again, slap that clay around. There we go. And cone up. My way of centering may not work. There's a couple of different methods. I'll try to show those different methods at some point. We'll do a little mini episode about that or something. Let's not do a spoon rest for this. Let's do something else. What shall we do? Let's just do a little container, a jar, what have you. A little honey pot. Oh wow, I heard something like TV static. It's raining right now. Thankfully. It's been so hot here the past few months. Over 100, almost every day. So it's finally cooling down enough to where I want to go camping, hiking, all that good stuff. Kayaking sometime other than 7 o'clock in the evening. Some honey. So the process for most anything on the wheel starts with some kind of cylinder. That's the best thing to practice to get good. Starting out, you just want to do so much. But I tell you, just cylinders all day, every day. Before you know it, your throwing ability will be great. You know, because with the tools available, I believe anybody can do this. This is a skill. Anybody can learn. It doesn't mean everybody will have the flair for what makes some of these more fine art instead of a craft. And I'd say with these, I work at a craft level, and that's okay. Now I'm just stretching that clay out. I want to leave a little lip on this top part. Just a little line accent. Stretch this out. Lip starts looking funky, looks off. Compress that lip. Get that extra water out of there. This is one of those things that once you know it, you know it. It's like riding a bicycle. Muscle memory. It may take you a minute, but you'll get all the function back to it, all the easiness. Because once you do it so much, it becomes a little easy, at least to do the basic stuff. like cylinders. That's why they're the best to practice with. Just coming in, trimming off some excess of that clay. That way we can put in just a little delicate flow on there. There we go, just a nice little pot. Something like this I would probably put in a raku kiln. A nice metallic glaze on that would look great, I think. I need to clean in here. I will probably be doing some of that later. Always good to keep your area pretty clean. You let it get too dusty, and it's not exactly great for your lungs and health. So, this stays pretty muddy, but it stays wet. So, not too concerning there. Show you this again. Burr of clay on there, and it's gone. So yeah, just a nice little pot. So yeah, this is my studio here. I'm very fortunate to be able to have a place to where I can work. Don't know how much longer I'll be staying here. I do have it for sale. And just to look back, this is my work area. Fairly simple. Tools, everything I need. That's some old work. And there's my kiln. So yeah, this is it. Here are these from earlier. Yeah, probably done right now. Going to take a break. And this is where I store everything. Little ghost there, just something playing around with. You know, hope to have these shelves filled sometime. Some old work from a few years ago. Some of my glaze work. Be seeing some more colors like this, but I have a good variety of glazes that I need to go through. But anyways, that's it for today. Going to go in and probably start working on dinner for the kiddo and me. But I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye.